Hello, we are the Green Solutions Consulting Company. We are a company that understands that the world is changing rapidly around us, and we as a company want to help other companies adapt to new market standards and regulations considering social factors and risk factors. We also want to help companies adapt to new market and environmental changes. We have a team of analysts and researchers that will help guide companies through these rough times and allow companies to maintain their relevant position in the market.
During our preliminary investigation, we found out that you guys, as a company, have values of sustainability, keeping the safety of your workers as a top priority, and also prioritizing the people that living in the surrounding areas from the mines that you work in. However, we also found that this isn't quite the truth. Vale is a company that has been around for many, many years, and most Brazilians are probably aware of the disasters surrounding the company and the dams that collapsed with it. For people that don't know, there were two different instances of dams related to the company collapsing. The first one happening in 2015, where 19 lives were lost, multiple villages were displaced, and millions of tons of toxic sludge were spread throughout the environment, causing extreme toxicity in the environment. However, what many people and what most Brazilians might not know is that there was actually reports all the way back to 2013, 2 years before the accident, where auditors and safety people would tell the company that the dam had already started to leak, and the board of the company simply ignored it.
A few years later, in 2019, the Brumadinho Dam collapsed too. This time, it cost the lives of 270 people, including all the people that were in the headquarters downstream, and including the people in the houses and the hotels that were nearby. After this tragic event, the CEO and the higher-up executives within the company decided to step down to avoid criticism.
In both cases, there were several officials and auditors who gave several warnings about the conditions of the dams, including a Mr. Mamba, who was in charge of running a safety test on the Brumadinho Dam in 2018, 1 year before the second disaster. He said that everything suggested that the dam would not pass the safety test, something that he later recounted to the police, and including the fact that he felt pressured by a Vale official to pass the certificate, otherwise future work opportunities would get cut off for him and Vale. This sort of blackmail is what's integrally wrong with your company, and why there has to be a realignment of values in order for the company to become more sustainable.
Not only this, but there have been numerous reports of a third dam, being the Xinyu Dam, being at serious and imminent risk of rupture due to liquefaction, and this was stated in an audit report conducted by a government department. Vale published a statement saying that the report that was conducted was false. However, the National Mining Agency released a report in September of 2020 stating that Vale needed to improve its structure, but they only partially fulfilled that promise. In a later report from May 2021, the National Mining Agency stated that there was no corrective measures that had been put in place to stop these dam breaks, which shows clear negligence on Vale's behalf.
The problem lies within the structure of your company and what your values really are. You say that you want to become a benchmark in building safer and more sustainable mining, but behind the scenes, the safety of your workers and the people in surrounding areas is being jeopardized for short-term profit.
In looking for an effective and low-cost solution, it is imperative that we first look at the leadership of the company. We must develop teams with designated leaders that are educated on effective leadership skills, not just task orders. Vale has been unsuccessful in communicating with all branches of the company, and therefore has failed to manage and lead employees who have a lack of trust in the company. Employees feel unsupported because Vale has a history of prioritizing profit over basic safety measures. In order to gain back respect, the company must take full responsibility for environmental disasters and harm to employees. Leaders at each level of the company will be trained to 1. Motivate and influence employees, 2. Put employees first, 3. Be approachable to manage conflict, and 4. Set clear goals and stay organized.
I would recommend the implementation of a model of social responsibility. A company cannot simply be guided by market forces and the need to make a profit. The theories of classic economics no longer stand today when the environmental and human costs of a company's operations are considered. This couldn't be truer for the case in hand. I would advise the company to 1. Make a profit consistent with expectations for international business, 2. Obeying international host country laws, thirdly, being ethical in its practices, and fourthly, being a good corporate citizen. But how could this materialize? In terms of topic number 1, they need to make a profit consistent with expectations for international businesses. Vale is an already extremely profitable company, but it needs to revise the human and environmental impacts of its actions. In terms of topic number 2, obeying international and host country laws, I would recommend the implementation of internal governance and stage gate checks by an internal committee to ensure that business practices at Vale are meeting national and international requirements. In terms of topic number 3, being ethical in its practices, there's a lot of work to be done. Vale has showed very unethical company or corporate behavior. There's an issue regarding the promiscuity between the company and the state and federal government. A lot of workers in the federal government that work in inspection end up taking up positions in Vale. In terms of the topic number 4, there need to be a good corporate citizen. Vale was funded as a state-owned mining company with the intention of fostering the development of Brazil. Vale should continue this legacy and invest more in education and healthcare in the areas it operates. We believe that the company should pledge 3% of its net income for this.
There must be a chain of communication between leaders and subordinates in order for the company to function as a whole. Horizontal communication is cooperation between co-workers and work units. Vale must implement more frequent team meetings, team building exercises, and social gatherings to encourage an open and supportive work environment. Vertical communication also needs to be a priority for Vale so that employees and mines have their concerns heard by top management positions in order for changes to be made. The shift of communicating up and down will allow employees at all positions of the company to feel empowered to voice their opinions, and this will foster organizational fairness and intrinsic motivation.